A cold wind pressed against the cracked windows of Miller's diner as the pale sun struggled to rise behind a blanket of gray clouds. The morning felt heavy, drained of color and warmth. Inside, the scent of burnt coffee and buttered toast lingered over empty booths. In the far corner, near the window no one chose, unless they had nowhere else to sit, an old woman quietly entered. She came every morning, always alone, always in the same long black coat, with a silver feather-shaped brooch pinned to her chest. Her name was Eleanor Hayes, and her eyes carried the kind of sadness that comes from losing everything once held dear. Watching her every morning was Mara Weaver, a young waitress barely holding her life together, yet always smiling. Unlike the others, Mara wasn't there just for the paycheck. She came searching for meaning, for proof that kindness still existed in a world that rarely gave second chances. Life had not been kind to her. She had lost her parents early, grown up in foster care, and now survived on tips that barely covered rent. But despite it all, her heart refused to break. 2 months ago, Mara first noticed Eleanor counting coins from an old purse, ordering only tea and dry toast. Most customers ignored her. Some pitied her. But Mara saw something different, loneliness that mirrored her own. Quietly, she began to show kindness in small ways, bringing Eleanor warm toast, refilling her tea without charge, slipping an extra muffin on her plate with a gentle lie about a diner promotion. Slowly, an unspoken friendship formed. Mara learned Eleanor loved reading by lamplight and once lived near the ocean. Eleanor, in turn, learned about Mara's struggles, her double shifts, her broken car, and her unwavering belief that kindness always finds its way back. But Eleanor never spoke of her past. It was as if whole chapters of her life had been erased. Then one morning, Mara found her in tears. Eleanor whispered that she had been evicted and would spend the night in a bus station. Without thinking, Mara offered her small apartment, giving up her own bed and sleeping on the couch. For a week, she shared her food, washed Eleanor's clothes, and searched for help on her behalf. When Eleanor asked why, Mara simply said, "Because no one helped me when I needed it, but I survived believing someone would someday." But then one day, Eleanor vanished. Her room was empty, her bed neatly made, and a note lay on the pillow. "Thank you for giving me back hope." Eleanor. Weeks passed with no word, and Mara feared she'd never see her again. Then, one quiet Tuesday morning, a convoy of black SUVs pulled up outside the diner. 4 bodyguards and 2 lawyers entered, asking for Mara Weaver. Shocked, she followed them to a grand mansion on the edge of town. Inside, beneath soft piano music and sunlight pouring through tall windows, stood Eleanor, transformed. Her hair was styled, her lavender dress elegant, her eyes bright. Mara could barely breathe. Eleanor smiled and explained everything. She was not poor, but the heir to Hayes International, one of the largest private investment firms in the country. After losing her husband and son in a tragic accident, grief drove her to abandon her fortune and test whether kindness still existed in a world obsessed with wealth. Living as a nobody, she found Mara, someone who gave everything without expecting anything in return. Eleanor took Mara's hands and said softly, "I don't need a maid or a nurse. I need a heart I can trust. I want you by my side, not as an employee, but as family. Everything I have will one day be yours, not by blood, but by love. You reminded me why life is still worth living." Tears filled Mara's eyes. For years, she had felt invisible to the world, but in that moment, she realized kindness had brought her home. They embraced, 2 souls bound by compassion, proving that one act of kindness can turn strangers into family and loneliness into love. If this story touched your heart, please like and share it with someone who still believes in goodness. Subscribe to Kindness Corner to keep stories of hope alive, and tell us, what do you think is the most powerful act of kindness one human can give? Because sometimes all it takes is a single moment of compassion to change a life forever.